going to be here to introduce our assembly this week, but I just don't know where he's got to. So over to me today. Well, children, how are you today? I hope that you've had a really lovely weekend. In my assembly today, we're going to concentrate on the character strength of creativity. Now, being creative is about thinking about new ways of doing things. It's about having ideas that are new and original. And when we use our imagination, we're being creative. Our creativity can be developed and expressed in so many different ways. Maybe through inventing in science and technology, or developing new games in IT. It could be expressing your ideas through art, developing different flavour combinations in cookery, or designing and making clothes. And in our story today about creativity, we're going to explore a fashion designer called Vivienne Westwood. And this is part of the Little People, Big Dreams series. This book is written by Maria Isabel Sanchez Vergara, and the illustrations are by Laura Callahan. And it's about fashion designer Vivienne Westwood, and especially about her sharing her creativity and expressing her feelings through the clothes that she designs and the clothes that she wears. Vivienne Westwood. Little Vivienne lived in a little town called Tintwistle in England. She was born during a Great World War, and while her mum darned socks, she dreamt of mending the world. At school, there was a boy all the children bullied. They called him Dirty Edward, but Vivienne didn't. She always stood up for the outsiders. She told everyone she was his girlfriend, even though it wasn't true. When Vivienne was older, her family moved to the outskirts of London. Vivienne was always curious about art and new ideas, so she decided to study fashion and jewellery design. Making a living as an artist was difficult, so Vivienne pursued a career in teaching. She liked being a teacher, but her head and her heart were elsewhere. One day, she met a rebellious young man called Malcolm McLaren. They opened a shop on the King's Road in London, where they mixed rock and roll records with fashion in a brand new way. Vivienne took apart old clothes from the 1950s to create new designs. She started ripping the garments before threading them with safety pins and writing shocking statements on every t-shirt. Clothes became her way to speak out and protest. Bands took notice, and soon she was dressing musicians with chains and collars. Her style was as loud and chaotic as the new sound in town, punk. With their next collection, Vivienne and Malcolm sailed away from the King's Road and docked on the catwalk. They plundered ideas from the past and dressed models as pirates and buccaneers. It was an anti-fashion revolution. After years together, Vivienne felt it was time to go her own way and said goodbye to Malcolm. She's about to change the shape of women's clothes with her corsets and bubble skirts. Many critics found Vivienne's clothes unwearable, but she wasn't interested in their opinions. She would much rather read a good book than any fashion magazine. Vivienne mixed punk and aristocracy, making the poor look rich and the rich look poor. She dressed artists and actresses and even some members of royalty. Vivienne became an activist against climate change. She made quality clothes that were built to last, encouraging people to buy less and wear more. And little Vivienne, who always stood up for the outsiders, became the most unique and out-fashioned fashion designer ever. All because she believes that those who dare to speak up can change the world. So I think that book about Vivienne Westwood, a really lovely example of creativity. Vivienne expressed her ideas and her thoughts through the clothes that she designed. Now, many years ago, when I was a very young teacher, when I had my first wage packet, I went into city centre in Liverpool and I went to Vivienne Westwood's shop and I bought myself a beautiful Vivienne Westwood coat. It was a Macintosh coat. It was canary yellow. It had a lovely black corduroy collar and I thought it was just gorgeous. So I wore it into work. But in my classroom, I was teaching year 5 at the time, I didn't have a cupboard. So I hung it up on a hanger and I hung it onto one of my notice boards. Now, my children in my class, we had fountain pens, which you needed ink cartridges. And one of the children was trying to get their fountain pen to work. They put a new ink cartridge in and gave their pen a really good shake. I guess you can guess what happened next. Their blue ink splattered all along my Vivienne Westwood yellow Mac. But you know what? I think Vivienne would have liked it. I think she'd have said it looked more punk with that splash of blue ink all the way down it. That wasn't creativity by design. That was creativity by accident. I want you to think this week, boys and girls, about how you can develop your creativity. What ideas can you come up with this week? How can you use your imagination, whether it's in play or whether it's in work? Now, I wonder where Rola's got to.
Here I am, Miss Foley. You caught me having a quick bath. I went over the park to play with my friends earlier on, and I got very, very, very muddy. Anyway, how do you like my look? Do you think I look a bit like a punk with my hair sticking up like this? I hope, boys and girls, that you listened carefully to the ideas in the story today, all about being creative. I wonder how you're going to be creative this week. Maybe you could use your imaginations. Maybe you could invent some new games for me to play. Or you could invent a new outfit for me to wear. Can't wait to find out. Have a great week, boys and girls.